Hey! There you go. Wait, I'm inside. I'm in the thing. There you go. We're messing around with stuff. I'm in the chat. I'm not in the chat. I'm in the chat. I'm not in the chat. Hey, everybody. And by everybody, I mean Ankh. Thank you for hanging out. I am now officially squeezing in even more. We're here for a preview of comic books.
Mm-hmm.
What do we got?
Oh, we got a bunch of stuff. There's a bunch of stuff coming out tomorrow.
A bunch of stuff.
So we're gonna do like we did in previous weeks. We're gonna run through just a bunch of stuff that I might not have necessarily read, but it is coming out tomorrow that I think people should definitely know about. Biggest one people are excited about: Wonder Woman number 800. This I'm gonna get a shot of this cover.
Looks like here.
This comic has gone for 800 issues, if you can believe it. This Wonder Woman's one of the longest running comics, right up there with Superman and Batman.
I believe it.
Yeah, and a lot of different creators in this one. Looks really good. Different characters, short stories. I haven't read it myself. It looks great, and I know a lot of people are super excited for it. So that's definitely one to be aware of. Another one.
Be aware of it.
Batman. This is the 1989
What?
movie adaptation. Check that out. That's that
What?
Jack Nicholson. Yeah. Check out that Jack Nicholson Joker,
Dude.
So this is the original one. So
That's
this
excellent.
is an adaptation that they did back in 1989. So it's written by Denny O'Neil and drawn by Jerry Ordway. So this is like classic comic book. Look at that Michael Keaton.
Look at that Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Damn, boy.
Yeah. So if you are jazzing on the return of Michael Keaton as Batman in that Flash movie
That no one's watching?
that no one's watching, I mean, I haven't seen it. But you know what? I've heard that it's pretty good from the two people that saw it.
Okay, yeah, the two guys that saw it liked it.
But yeah, so this is just like an adaptation of the movie, but done as a comic book. But looks really good. Jerry Ordway is a classic comic book creator. He did a lot of Superman and Batman stuff.
Yeah.
And he gets the likenesses down really well. I like that in the back they have some shots of just his clean high-res scans of his black and white pages. They look really good. Yeah, this is a cool book. This is a reprint that they're just putting out, probably because everybody's jazzed on Michael Keaton being back, for like half of a movie. But it's something to consider. You all right there?
In the chat? I'm out of the chat. I'm out of the chat. What else you got?
So this is another book I didn't expect to see. This is a Wolverine book called Snicked, which even Dan, you must understand that Snicked is the onomatopoeia.
It's the noise.
It's the sound that his claws make. I want to get
makes.
the whole.
Yeah.
You got to get the
I'm
whole.
gonna try to fix that a little bit.
We
Let's see if I can
pull that out a little bit. I don't know how that works.
Let's see. What do we got?
But this is
zoom
you
more?
can fiddle with it. I'm gonna talk.
That's as far as zoom as I can go. Let's see what we got here.
All right.
Keep talking.
All right. So this is a notable Wolverine comic. It is written and drawn by. I'm gonna move this up just so you can see the name. It is written and drawn by Tsutomu Nihai. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I don't know if I did, but he is a very famous manga creator, and he did the book called Blame, which is just a very cool Japanese manga. So this is done, I think, almost 20 years ago now, early to mid 2000s, and it doesn't look like a normal Wolverine comic because he's a Japanese creator. And this was again kind of before, like most comic books now, all kind of have there's a manga influence on a lot of modern creators, is what I would say. But this was at a time when that was definitely not the case. And so it's a different looking kind of Wolverine book, but it looks really cool. Highly recommend it. And I wasn't aware that it was getting a new printing, but I'm excited that it is because it's a good book.
What's really fun is me trying to fix this camera and not being able to do it for some reason.
Yeah. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we needed to be. We're getting there.
Yeah. I also like that this book was made in the era when the X-Men all wore leather jackets. So Wolverine, you can kind of see he's not wearing his yellow costume. He's wearing the black leather jacket with the yellow X on it. It's cool. Yeah.
Nice.
So that's the era that, if for all you X-Men fans, you should recognize what era that's coming from. But yeah, this is a good book. Highly recommended. Let's see what else we got. Just run through a few other books that I've talked about on the stream before, because I read a lot of comic books.
Just having a good time with
Yeah,
that. Just ignore me. Just do your thing.
You were goofing it up.
There was too much yellow. Let's say that there was way too much yellow happening initially. And I think the yellow thing that was going on all here was making us look weird. I think it was it was like messing up our complexion and making us look strange. So I'm just going with like keep it simple, keep it classy. No, we don't have a ton of followers. We don't have like a bar sitting on the bottom here, like that shows all of our followers and people giving us bits, and we don't have that.
The nice thing about not having any followers is that you don't have to worry about disappointing anybody.
You don't have to disappoint everyone. And we just got the chat, and that's all you need is the chat, really. And it's gonna be great. And it's like, you know, go.
A few other books notable that I'm reading that I really like. I talked about this on the stream.
It's like the end of Superman when those people are trapped in the mirror.
The Phantom Zone. Yeah.
Sorry, man.
You goober.
Book.
Arcade Kings. I talked about Arcade Kings.
We did talk
last
about
month.
that.
New issue is out.
Blues Metal, what's up, dude?
Looks really cool. I haven't read this one yet, but our coworker Jacob read it. He said he really likes it. So
didn't know he could read.
That boy is full of surprises. Let me tell you.
He's doing all kind of interesting stuff.
But yeah, it's a cool looking book. If you like kung fu and fighting games, I think this is a book that's right up your alley. But yeah, very good book.
Kung fu and fighting games. Yeah, I'll be down with that.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a weird book. Hi.
That's an important cut. Another book I talked about on the stream,
Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider. This is the Danny Ketch one. I've talked about because I'm an old guy, so I like old guy comics.
Yeah.
So this is that series that's following the 1990s version of Ghost Rider when he was like totally cool and he wore leather and had chains and just like biker Danny Ketch version of Ghost Rider. So I'm enjoying this book. That's another one. If you like Ghost Rider, if you like 90s comics, that's definitely one you want to check out. Another book I talked about, I think this was last issue. I had it as my favorite issue of the week.
About that before.
Kaya, just another awesome comic. Looks really good. It's colorful. It's got monsters in it. It's got robots in it. It's got a little girl with a robot arm and a little boy who's potentially magic. Just cool stuff. So
what's the gist of this whole
comic? It's a post-apocalyptic setting.
Post-apocalyptic.
So it's like it's not really like, I guess it's not fair to call it post-apocalyptic because we don't know if there was a specific apocalypse, but it takes place in a type of future fantasy setting where there's mutants and monsters and robots and science fiction and fantasy all kind of blended together. And the main character is Kaya, who's this girl here being carried off by the giant bat. And she is the older sister of the little boy who's supposed to be like the savior of their tribe, and he's kind of a spoiled little brat. And so she has to look out for him, and they kind of go on adventures, and he gets kidnapped, and she's trying to rescue him while they're trying to make peace with this lizard tribe. Just a lot of cool stuff going on.
I tell you, every time I've tried to make peace with a lizard tribe, it is not well.
It's not easy.
It is not. No, it's not easy. Those lizard tribes.
Lizard people. All right, up next, a couple of Superman comics.
Oh, you like some Superman?
Yeah, you know, I'm like become a Superman guy. Traditionally, I was always a Marvel kid, but DC's killing it with their Superman books.
DC's giving you the good Superman.
That's right. Yeah. So
and Batman.
Batman. So this is the world's finest. This is probably the best Batman and Superman book on the stands right now, just all together in one book, if you can believe it. I get the impression that you don't believe me. This is written by Mark Waid and drawn by Dan Mora, and it just looks great. It always has has guest creators in it. Flash in this one. This is part 3 of the story arc that they've been doing, where it's basically a bunch of AI take over all the cybernetic or robot themed characters. Yes, that's Plastic Man. He can stretch.
Plastic Man.
Yeah, Plastic Man. So
I like Plastic Man.
Tons of characters in this book. It looks amazing. Dan Mora is just probably one of the best superhero artists. I always have to qualify that.
Right.
You know, but like working for like Marvel or DC, this guy is top notch. Tons of characters. Batman and Superman.
You look like
which guy?
Oh, this guy.
That is one of the villains. I've already forgotten his name.
Oh, he's not a very good villain then.
I'm not traditionally a DC guy, so I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of all the villains.
Got you.
But there's heroes and villains were all captured by this other villain to force them into labor to build this machine that he's working on. So they all kind of have to team up against him. But yeah, fun comic. Looks great. Mark Waid is, again, one of the most trustworthy superhero writers working in the industry. Can't go wrong with Batman, Superman, World's Finest.
Can't go wrong.
So say I.
You heard it here first? Probably not first.
Probably not first.
But you've heard it here. You heard something. You bring something to the table. We don't know what it is, but it's on the table. And there it is.
And more importantly, it's here.
And here.
I got another Superman comic. This one is Superboy.
Oh,
I don't have...
Superboy.
This one is... I think I talked about this last time. Wasn't super wowed by it. I like it because I like the character because I read 90s comics. I think it looks pretty good, but it doesn't look quite as edgy as I feel like the character should be. He should have a little attitude to him, a little 90s punk rock, and he's a little soft around the edges.
Soft boy.
Yeah, he's a little soft boy. But it's a fun comic, and it's pretty good for I hate it sounds so dismissive, but for disposable superhero entertainment, I think it
Superboy's
scratches
disposable?
that itch. Superboy, well, that's, you know what, and that's kind of the theme of this book, because Superboy is disposable.
Poor Superboy.
Because
why is he disposable?
Well, in the current continuity, Metropolis has like 15 different Supermans in it, and so he feels kind of crowded out. Like, what's he going to do in Metropolis? There's already the regular Superman. There's Superman's real son. There's alternate universe Superman. There's all these Supermans, and what is he? Just some clone of Superman that nobody even really likes. Too many Supermans. So he goes off into space to try and find himself. And you remember?
Yeah, we talked about that one.
It
was like basically a series of flashbacks.
A little bit,
Kinda.
there's like some of that. Yeah, but that's different. You're thinking of the one I talked about last week, which was Superman Lost. Oh. I'm talking about a lot of Superman books on this stream, which was not my intention when we started doing it.
Well, there you go.
We got one more Superman book. This is the regular Superman title.
Regular Superman.
I really like this one. It's just classic Superman.
Comics need more story of the week adventures like these.
I completely agree with that. I think that I agree. I do think that that's something that comics really need to get back to, is being more accessible and just having an adventure that the characters can go on.
Just read it once and you're like, cool.
Yeah, exactly. And not have to get wrapped up in like a year-long story arc that could have just been in one, maybe two issues. But
right.
That's, I'm an old guy, so I complain about things like that.
He does.
But, on that subject, I think this Superman book is probably doing it the best. Each issue feels like there's an ongoing story, but each issue still feels like it's a complete adventure. Like he faces off against a different, not necessarily a villain, but a different problem in each issue. The setup for this is really good.
Yeah, what's the setup?
So the setup for the series is that Lex Luthor is in prison, and there's a bunch of supervillains that are Lex's enemies that want to kill him. So Lex is trying to suck up to Superman to become friends with Superman so that Superman will protect him and save him. But he's Lex Luthor, so he might even just be lying about that. There's probably some other stuff going on. You never know.
You never know with that guy.
So this issue is about Jimmy Olsen, who we all love Jimmy Olsen. And I like that it plays some homage to the classic Silver Age Jimmy Olsen comics, where he's constantly getting turned into weird things and just like being bizarre and silly. So in this issue, there's a little bit of a twist. His girlfriend gets turned into this supervillain that we see right here, the Silver Banshee.
That's crazy looking.
It is crazy looking. And so Superman is trying to fight her, and then Jimmy Olsen steps in and is like, no, I love her. And then you get this whole backstory, and Superman has to figure out, how's he going to wrap? How's he going to save the day with this one? He can't just beat her up
without blasting lasers through her face with his eyes.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't necessarily want to beat up his best friend's girlfriend. That's
Jimmy Olsen's his best friend. Is he like a newspaper boy or like a cameraman? What is this deal? What's his thing?
Yeah, he's cameraman for the Daily Planet. He's friends with Clark Kent, but he's also Superman's pal. He's Superman's.
Does he know?
Oh yeah. He's like Jimmy Olsen is like in the book. He's like a celebrity of being like the guy that's friends with Superman.
Really?
So he's kind of this like minor celebrity. Like these days, he would be like
He's not disposable.
No. These days he would be like an influencer type, I think.
Okay.
You know, just like
following around with the camera.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
But he works for the Daily Planet. He's friends with Clark Kent and Lois Lane. Like, technically, he works for them. I mean, I don't know how newspapers work. What am I talking about?
I don't know either.
But anyway, good book. I think DC's been on fire with their Superman books. So if you just like classic superheroes, that's the kind of stuff you want to check out. Okay, this is one I was actually excited to talk about. Fist of the North Star. Possibly the coolest Japanese manga that's ever been made. And there's a lot of cool Japanese manga out there. Coolest. So the way I would sell this book, if you've never seen it or looked at it or heard of it, is this book is Mad Max, except everybody knows Kung Fu. Sold, right.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
It's pretty violent. It's really violent, in fact.
Yeah.
This was made in the 80s, so it's got that old 80s style to it. The characters, as you can see, the design of it heavily draws on like the Mad Max style. That's the main character there, Kenshiro. And he's just this master assassin who he wanders this wasteland. This one is like legitimately a post-apocalypse, where there was like a nuclear war and now everything is a desert, and all these like tribes and gangs just fight over resources.
Lizard men?
There's not specifically lizard men, but there's something kind of similar to that. But there are all these and it's like a Japanese manga where like all the villains have their like big move and they're all like invincible, but then he just knows how to hit pressure points. So that's what's make his kung fu so dangerous. So he'll just like get into a fight and then tap somebody and then they'll be like, that didn't even hurt, and he's like, wait 3 seconds and then you'll die, and then they die. It's just like that type of like pure intense kung fu. Yeah. So it's just characters fighting and killing each other. But there's a lot of personal drama. Like, he had a fiance that he was wed to, and then they got separated, and he has a sister that he's looking for, and so he just wanders this wasteland being a superhero. Yeah, really. But it's it's Mad Max Kung Fu Japan style superhero where he just goes around and just obliterates people. And he always has, they even make kind of jokes, like he always just has this stone cold expression on his face, like he feels nothing, and that's part of the plot, just because.
That's excellent.
Yeah, really good book. This is volume 9, so this series went on for a long time. I think there's 20 something volumes, and these are new reprints, or I should say new printings that they've done. They started a few years back, but these really nice hardcovers. They're pretty cheap too. I think they retail, they're $20. You get this nice hardcover and wonderful, beautiful art. Just the coolest comic. Like, if you like, I know right now everybody is hyped on Berserk. Berserk is like the hot, cool comic. I would say if you like Berserk, you might want to check out Fist of the North Star. Not totally the same. There's more fantasy elements in Berserk, but just for that intensity and that rawness, brings something very similar to the table.
Sick.
Yeah, highly recommend it.
The Hulk.
So.
Try some.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
I'm talking. So this is new issue of the Hulk comes out tomorrow. It's a new number 1, and this is something, you can see this is number 1. This is Legacy number 782. And this is the thing that I complain about comics all the time. I'm sorry. I see what you're doing.
I'm trying to give you more.
Yeah. I gotcha. So, Marvel, the way they do these things is like they reboot it with a new number 1 to make it an easy jumping on point for new readers. So if you weren't reading the Hulk like all last year, here's a great opportunity to jump in if you like the Hulk.
Some Hulk.
Yeah. So I read through this issue. I really like the Hulk, but I don't read Hulk all the time. Because I feel like there's only so much you can do with the character.
What's the Hulk all about? What's his thing?
I mean, like, in a nutshell, it's Bruce Banner, and he got blasted with a gamma radiation bomb, and now he turns into the Hulk, which is this angry monster. And so there's a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde aspect to the character. Okay. So this, like, do you actually not know anything about the Hulk?
I know. I just like making you tell me comic book stuff. It's like a little kid wanting a bedtime story. It's really what it is. I just enjoy that you have so much knowledge about it. So
there's a lot more. There's a lot more going on with
I
the
like
Hulk
to
than
hear
that.
your like very concise synopses of the different things that are happening. It's helpful to me.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad I can be helpful. So, I read through this issue. It works pretty well as a first issue, except I will say it doesn't feel like it's a new number one, like starting over. It just feels like it's a continuation from the previous Hulk story arc. And so this is when I complain about things like the new number ones, and like they're trying really hard to be like, new readers, jump in right now. But then you jump into it, and it's just kind of like, you can tell that there's a lot going on that you maybe missed from previous issues.
Yeah.
And there's even a moment, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this is a thing that comic books do when there's like a plot point, and then there'll be a little asterisk when like this character's talking about something, and he's like,
whatever.
He's like, I locked him away in my mind, had him completely under control, and then there's a little asterisk, and then there's a little box that tells you what issue that happened in. And this issue, it says, I guess you can't really see it. It says, See Hulk number 1, 2021.
Right.
That kind of thing infuriates me because this is Hulk number 1.
2023.
Right. Exactly. This should just be Hulk number 782, and it should be like, see Hulk number 766 or something, you know. But
whatever
this
that
is
was.
If I didn't come across as a crotchety old guy now, this is definitely what's going to put me over.
Yeah, this is helping.
But it does bother me so much because it just seems needlessly confusing.
Right.
Flashback to Hulk number 1 in your Hulk number 1 comic.
I like that there's cliff notes or notes or whatever.
Yeah.
Basically, like editor's notes.
Well, and that's stuff I think it's great for comics because it does make you want to like go back and find stuff. I just think it gets silly and confusing when you're like, if you like Hulk number 1, you should go back and read Hulk number 1. Like, it just, I don't know, it defeats the purpose of the numbering system.
Why call it a number 1?
But yeah, so I guess talking about this book a little bit more, they're kind of continuing the horror angle aspect of the Hulk. So like, there's a little bit of, you see this big double page spread where the Hulk comes out, and you can see there's like a body horror to Bruce Banner's transformation. Like, it's actually like a little grotesque. It's not as, it looks painful. But yeah, it's if you like Hulk and if you like where the series was going before, I think you will like this because it's more of the same. It is different creators. I guess I should point that out. This is written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, and it's drawn by Nick Klein. It looks really good. I will say that. The previous series was drawn by Ryan Otley, who is actually one of my favorite comic book artists. He has definitely a different style. Ryan Otley is the guy that drew Invincible. I'm sure you've heard of that from the cartoon.
I saw the show.
Yeah. So,
hey, Keystone.
Hello.
And then they made a
comic book out of the show, right?
That's correct. That's the only joke I get.
Yeah, it's a good one. I laugh every time you say it.
Every time, yes. Absolutely.
But yeah, so this...
Read the Hulk.
But Ryan Otley is definitely not a horror artist. He's more of a superhero artist. So this looks like Nick Klein's art is definitely getting back more into the horror style. Like, you can see there's some monsters here. And so it fits more with the tone of the story that they've been doing with the Hulk for the last couple of years. So that's the notable thing about it. But yeah, it's a new number 1. It is a good jumping on point if you haven't read the Hulk in a little while. You can just pick up the trade paperbacks of the previous couple of years and follow the new series.
Follow it.
Okay, I got one other book. Well, actually, I got 2 other books to talk about. But this one is probably the one that I was the most interested in reading this week. Ultimate Invasion.
Hey, is that Professor X?
No, it's not. And I know why you might think that, because in the current X-Men comic books, Professor X does wear a helmet. And it looks very similar to that. And I know that you read a lot of X-Men comics.
A ton.
That was
That's all I read.
By the way, I was being sarcastic. But so you recall my lecture a few weeks ago when I was talking about that Nick Fury comic book and explaining the origin of Nick Fury as played by Samuel L. Jackson. And it started in these books, the Ultimate comics, the Ultimate line of comics. And they were versions of the Marvel comic books, but set in a more real-world setting. So they didn't have the baggage of 40 years of continuity. And it was like the tone of it was
like a reboot.
It was like a reboot. You could say it was like a reboot, and it was more. Like tonally, they wanted to go for more of like a hard science fiction angle.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the idea first got put for like Spider-Man. It wasn't an irradiated spider that bit him. It was a genetically modified spider. You know, they updated a lot of the science that, you know, in the 60s, everything all Stan Lee knew was atomic radiation was the thing.
That
you
makes
know?
sense. Sure.
And so now they're like, okay, well, we know radiation doesn't give you powers; it just kills you. But
right.
but
well,
you know,
it remains to be seen.
it maybe.
I don't think science supports that.
So far, all it does is kill you. But maybe in the future. But so that's when they're like, okay, genetic modification, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It dealt more with then topical politics and current events. So it was very much like a post 9/11 comic. Dealt with America's place on the world stage. That's what the Avengers book was, called The Ultimates. So then the line eventually got canceled, and that's where Miles Morales' Spider-Man came from. He came from the Ultimate Universe. He was in Ultimate Spider-Man. And then they did this weird crossover where the Ultimate versions of the characters crossed over into the regular Marvel Universe, which is called the 616 Universe. This is blowing your mind with this, Dan. So this, and it right off the bat, the title of it is 616, Chapter 1. So that's how you know it's set in the 616 multiverse, like, which is considered the normal Marvel universe.
Got you.
And basically what happened was the Ultimate Universe got literally destroyed. Like, it no longer exists.
Sick.
And Miles Morales is the only remnant of that universe that now exists in our Marvel universe. But turns out there was somebody else that survived.
Oh.
And it is an evil version of a character. I guess I don't even know if it's supposed to be a spoiler, because I didn't really care for the previous Ultimate whatever the story arc was called, where they meld the two universes and kill the Ultimate Universe, because the Ultimate books I thought were pretty much past their time. But sorry.
Dang.
Yeah, I know. But I was curious to read this.
Making them, guys.
They did. So this is a big deal that they're bringing it back, because they haven't done the Ultimate books for a long time. But it is drawn by Brian Hitch, who is a really great artist, and he drew Did he do the Ultimates? I've already forgotten. I'm losing my cred here. I'm running out of steam. But he's a good artist, and it's written by Jonathan Hickman, who is a very smart, thoughtful writer. This is probably a really good book, but I can't really enjoy it that much, because I'm just so sick of multiverse stuff. Like,
let it all out.
Yeah,
this is a safe space.
I'm just, well, like, that's just not what the Ultimate books were in the beginning. They didn't have any of the, like, crazy, you know, alternate reality or, like, the over-the-top superhero silliness. The whole point of it was, like, it was more down-to-earth stories with, you know, like, some sense of the fantastical.
Trying to base in realism.
Yeah, like
somehow.
a little bit. That's why I say
yeah.
hard science fiction.
Yeah, that
you know.
makes sense.
And now it's just like, oh, we've just got multiverses, and
you just do whatever you want.
And yeah, exactly. You can do whatever you want. So I'm still a sucker though. So I'm probably gonna read the rest of the series just to see what they do with it. But I'm sure. I don't know if people are still, like, wanting more Ultimate books. I guess you'll have to sound off in the comments. But I'll find out tomorrow with all of our customers. Like, it feels
How many
like
people pick that up?
It feels like such a thing of its time. Like, it was it was huge in the 2000s. But then it kind of petered out and it ran its course, and then it got burdened with its own decade of continuity, and all of the characters stopped feeling like their original versions. And it sort of felt like, it's like, okay, now we need to do a new Ultimate Universe for the 2010s, you know, but they didn't do that, thankfully, because I think it would have been a little repetitive. But, yeah, so, I don't know, I have a lot of jumbled thoughts about Ultimate Invasion.
We see that.
It looks good. I will say, it looks good, and it definitely, Jonathan Hickman, he did capture the feel of the original Ultimate Universe books. And although he wasn't a writer on the original ones, that would have been guys like Brian Michael Bendis and Warren Ellis and Mark Miller. I think Jonathan Hickman is a writer that fits in with them stylistically, and so he definitely, like, this does feel feel like an Ultimate book, more so than the later era Ultimate books that were written by Jeff Loeb. That's where I dropped off the Ultimate books. For those of you that that know what I'm talking about, yeah, Loeb. I know. Yeah. All right. I think we got one more book I want to talk about. Yeah, so again, every week now I have one of my coworkers pick out a book for me to read. This week, Dan, I had you pick this one out. So this is Victory. Now it's not often that I actually get to talk to the person that on stream with the book that with the person that picked out the book. Yeah. So Dan, why did you pick this one out? Why did you pick this book for me to read?
The cover.
You know what? It's a good looking cover. So this book is called
Vampires.
That's
sexy vampires.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Well, I mean, what more do you need?
What more do you need?
So this book is called Victory, and it's from the pages of Vampirella. So this is like in the Vampirella universe.
Yeah.
I don't know a whole lot about Vampirella. I mean, I know who she is, obviously, but I've probably never read any books. I think I've seen her in... Oh, you know what? I'm thinking of Elvira.
Totally different.
Totally different.
Maybe she had her own comic books. I don't know.
She does. She does have her own comics.
There you go. But this is different.
This is different. So I haven't read any Vampirella comics, but you picked this one out, and I was a little struck by it because it's written by a guy named David Walker, but it's drawn by Brett Weldell, who is a really good artist. And I actually have a personal story about Brett. I've met him before. Yeah. So first of all, I'll say he's a really good artist. Do you remember that movie, The Surrogates, with Bruce Willis, where they like take over robot bodies and control them?
Yeah.
So that was based off of a comic book called The Surrogates, and Brett is the co-creator and artist on the comic Surrogates. And
awesome.
So a few years back, I was doing a comic book convention because I like to go to comic book conventions, and I try to sell some of my own comics that I make, but we don't have to talk about that. What I was there for...
We will
someday. But the thing about doing comic book conventions is that they're really expensive, and so you always try to find people that are willing to put you up or let you sleep on their floor or their couch for free, because hotels, if you can avoid spending $500 on a hotel.
It's always very expensive at convention weekends.
Yes, exactly. So I whenever I go to Kansas City for Planet Comic Con, I usually stay with my friend Ed Bickford, who he's usually got space for me, and he's a good guy. He's a very giving and helpful person.
That's good.
And
thanks,
so
Ed.
yeah, we all like Ed. And one year, Brett Weldell on Facebook just like sounded off and was like, "I need somewhere to stay in Kansas City this weekend. I don't have a hotel room." And Ed, being the natural giver that he is, said, "Oh yeah, you can stay with me, no problem." So I was like, "Cool, Brett. Brett's gonna room with me at Ed's spare bedroom."
Sleep on the floor
so
with you.
I drive into Kansas City and I get there and Ed's like, "Oh yeah, we don't actually have any space in our house, but don't worry. My parents have an RV that you and Brett can both sleep in."
Nice.
So we were like sleeping in this RV parked in the parking lot outside of Ed's house, and it was like, okay, so like we go inside and like take care, brush your teeth, take care of it. It's like, okay, good night, and we both like go to our separate apartment RV, and he's like in one spot in it, and I'm in another, and I'm like, all right, good night, We didn't really like talk a whole lot because we were there, to do the convention, but it was just funny because it was like, just like hanging out in an RV with some guy that I've never met. Nothing weird about that. But he's a nice guy. He wore like a onesie, like not just in the RV, but like going around town. He's a party guy.
Okay.
No, Brett. I love Brett. I love his art especially. He's a really good artist. And so let's take a look a little bit at the book. So it looks really good. This is the story of this character, Victory. Again, I have not read any of these books. I don't know anything about it, but it's a really solid story. She gets like this magic ring that's given to her by Vampirella's mom. From the context clues from reading this, it looks like she is either an ex-girlfriend of Vampirella or was in some kind of relationship and then they broke up. And so Vamprella's mom, in order to upset Vamprella, gave her this magic ring.
Wow.
And now she has like powers, and she can fight and kill supernatural characters like these hillbilly demons that are in it.
Demons.
Yeah, I like hillbilly demons too. They look funny, and they're fun to kill. But yeah, this is just like a pretty straightforward action comic, supernatural action. That's an ad for a different book.
Hey.
Yeah, Fire and Ice. That's Frank Frazetta.
Yeah, that's some Frazetta stuff.
But this is actually drawn by Bill Sienkiewicz, who is another great artist. But yeah, it's a setup for a longer story arc that's probably going to tie in and have to do with the greater Vamprella comic book series. Mm-hmm. I liked it. I'll probably read the issues as we get them in, because I didn't think I was going to like it so much. But again, I didn't know, just looking at it, I really didn't know. I didn't know that Brett was drawing it, and then like the minute you showed it to me, I looked over it and I was like, oh my god, I know that guy.
Yeah.
Like, we're not like pals or anything.
We slept in
an RV together. That's
he was wearing a onesie.
That's not nothing.
I don't know what I'm doing that for, but
that's something.
That counts for something. I've never slept with Brett Weldell in an RV while he was wearing a onesie.
Yeah, I don't sleep in an RV with just anybody.
That's
I haven't
true.
even slept in an RV with my wife.
No, not yet.
No, like I don't have an RV either.
Gotta get you a onesie.
Yeah, this is why I've been having everybody just pick out a random comic for me to read, because you come in and you see so many comics on the wall, and it's easy for stuff to just get lost. And this is the battle that publishers are constantly in to get people to look at their comics, which is also why I think we like doing this stream, to just try to shine a light on whatever we can. But even me, I'm still going to be biased toward just the kind of stuff I'm interested in. So
because you like your superheroes. I like stuff that's not superheroes. So it's like
true.
Completely opposite.
Yeah. So
and
I'm
like
glad.
Vampires.
I'm glad you picked this one out. It's a good comic.
And if it's got a sexy girl on the cover, I'm probably gonna buy it.
That's the other good thing about this stream, Dan, is like I've gotten you to buy a different or new comic book like every week.
Oh yeah. I bought. What did I buy from last time?
Was it? I don't remember. What, Money Shot?
I definitely bought Money Shot, but there was one from last week that I bought as well.
Yeah.
That I was really interested in after you showed it up. There's a couple of them. I bought the Rocketeer because it had the character that was like Betty Page. I actually bought the Betty Page comic. We talked about that a little bit. Yeah, so I bought that. I like the art.
Well, very cool. I think that's all I have to show off. So
we did it, man. That was a great collection of books today. I'm glad you found something different.
Yeah. I
don't know if you're gonna buy it or whatever, but I think I'm probably gonna buy it because it seems like it's a nice setup for an interesting story. And I like people that fight supernatural beings. Into it. I thought she was just straight up a vampire, but like I like that take.
Yeah. No, she is not a vampire.
Even better. I'm into that. Awesome. Well, we're going to do this again next Tuesday.
That's right.
And we'll talk about whatever books are coming out then. And I appreciate everybody that popped in the chat to say hey and talk to us a little bit. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thanks for watching it on YouTube. We appreciate you. And we'll see you on next Tuesday.